Hello, my name is Winston. I have a few YouTube channels, including two religious channels, one Watchtower examination, the other Adventist examination, and I'll be posting this video at both channels. I want to reach out to atheists and agnostics, and also to my Christian friends, brothers and sisters. And some of you may be wondering if the topic of this video is just what people call clickbait. You do something in order to get people to click. I will tell you, I will confess to you that I chose a topic that I wanted to grab your attention, but also is the sentiment of what I want to say to you. It's the foundation of something I feel like I want to say to many atheists time and time again. I posted a video at the Watchtower examination channel, and someone said that he no longer believes in the Adam and Eve fairy tale. And so I decided to do this video. As a matter of fact, I've done one before. I went on a location and I shot it, but it was long and it was winded and it seemed to have been all over the place because there is so much that I want to say. But I decided to give it a second shot, but to make it short, to condense it as short as possible and just get the point across to you. The Adam and Eve fairy tale. Years ago, I read something in a Mad magazine. For those of you who are older than me or old enough, you will remember the Mad magazine. That's what it's called, Mad. Had some crazy stuff in it, but I saw a cartoon in it that I will never forget. An atheist and a priest. The priest said to the atheist, "You want to tell me that I must believe that the world came into being because of some big bang, or that man developed from apes?" And he must have thought that, oh boy, he did well there. And the atheist countered, "And you want to have me believe that all the world's problems began because of a talking serpent telling a woman to eat a fruit?" If you are honest with yourselves, you have to admit that it does sound ridiculous, and I am telling you, it sounds ridiculous. It has to be. I have never heard a serpent speak. Have you? I have never heard a donkey speak, but the Bible talks about a donkey speaking. Sounds ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And when you think about God creating Adam and Eve, and they sinned because a talking serpent told them to sin, and then God put them out of the garden, and they put a shield at the garden so that they will never have it, because in that garden was a tree of life, and if they ate of the tree, they would live forever. And so now there's a gulf created between God and man. And in order to fix this gulf, God must now send his only son, who was God, to become a human. And he must die an awful death. And with his death, man is going to be redeemed. You know, when I read through the Old Testament and see what Israel had to endure, I thank God that I was born on this side of Earth's history. Because I don't believe that I could cope with. Well, yes, I would. I would have adjusted. I would have adjusted. But it's hard for me to imagine the way I am today. A life where every single day, 2 times per day, I must kill an animal. And the blood must be taken to an altar. We read about the sanctuary. Have you thought about just how messy and gory that place must have been? With the blood of animals day after day after day after day. And that is what must be done to foreshadow the coming of Christ, so that man can be redeemed. It makes no sense to me from a purely logical perspective. There must have been a better way, I have thought many times in my life. And I could go on, I could tell you so, as a matter of fact, if I were to tell you some of the things that I questioned in my Christian journey, it probably would cause some Christians to stumble. I've had serious doubts. But you know what I love about my God? He allows me to be honest with myself and to be honest with Him. I have been able to question Him about the things I doubted, and He provided answers in His time. So these things do not make any sense. So why do I believe it? I'm going to show you something. Can you see that? Can you see the little movement of the ocean? We are looking on the screen of my Google Pixel 2 XL. Oh, I squeezed it by accident. My Google Pixel. I am in love with a phone. This is the greatest Android experience that I've had. I'm actually going to be reviewing phones on my Things Jamaican channel. But I show this to you for a reason. I can't read a thing on my phone without my reading glasses. This thing, when I look at it, is just two pieces of glass. What is it about this glass that enables me to read what I can't read with my naked eyes? If I tell you the number of times when I look on this phone that I marvel, I so marvel at the technology, and I keep wondering, how do they do it? When you think of the technology that is in this thing that created it, when you look at the screen, when you look at the perfect display of the fonts, when you think of all the wonderful things that this thing does, it's amazing. I cannot explain this. But the fact that I cannot explain it, the fact that I cannot fully comprehend it, doesn't mean that it is not true. Have you really ever sat down and seriously pondered our biological systems? Think about our system, the respiratory system. And even before we get to the respiratory system and examine it, let us think about the exchange that goes on with plants and animals. How we use oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, and the plants do the exact opposite. And then there's this perfect symbiosis between plants and humankind with the air that we breathe in order to exist. Accident? The digestive system. I put something in my mouth and saliva is excreted. The salivary glands instantly come in to start working to salivate the food, to make it soft. The taste buds are working to tell me what is salt, what is bitter, what is sweet. And then the process you chew the food, it goes in. The wonders of nature. I am convicted in my heart, even more than my name is Winston Gilling. I am convicted that there is a creator. There has to be a creator. When I look at the perfection and the harmony in nature, when I think about the fact that as good as technology is, no matter how good science gets, we are still unable to create life from nothing. Doesn't happen. There has to be a creator. And I believe that nature really does reveal the wonder of God. And as I said, I can go on and on and on. I watched a documentary on the wonders of creation I've watched it like 6 times, and I'm not tired of watching it. It's just awesome. The uniqueness of snowflakes. I remember there was a time that I was printing business cards, and I would be creative. And my clients used to love the cards I printed for them. They were so attractive. After a while, I started running out of creative ideas. I was working on a surface that is 3.5 inches by 2. And after just a few designs, I ran out of designs. When you look at the size of the index finger, and to think that God has placed a different design on everybody's finger so that I can be identified by my fingerprint. Accident? No. I think not. And so, while there are many things in the Bible that makes no sense to me, creation and evolution is multiple times more nonsensical. There is no way under the heavens that anybody can tell me that all of the wonders of nature just came about by accident. There had to be a creator. Now, if you can create the sun, chances are you know something that I don't know. If you can create the universe, you know something that I don't know. And if you could exist before my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and their great-grandparents, you've been alive all that time and you're seeing all that is going on earth, you know something that I don't know. How many times has it happened to you? It has happened to me so many times, where there is something that I cannot understand and I struggle to understand it. And then it is, oh, no, I get it. When I was small, my father was an idiot. Because that man used to make some decisions that, as far as I was concerned, were idiotic. They made no sense. I was but a boy. I couldn't understand. Now that I'm a man, I fully understand why my father made the decisions he made. If God is able to create the world, He knows some things that I don't know. And I believe that He knows, because I have sat down and thought about it. I tell you about the plan of salvation, doesn't make any sense. I have sat down and I thought about alternatives that I could come up with. And with every single alternative I thought of, there was a problem. And so what it comes down to is the matter of trust. I trust God. I know. It was just last week, related to business. I was explaining something to a young lady. And I said to her, log into your account and link me. And I'm not going to get into details. Alright, because she may know who she is and this big, and I don't want. But the point I'm making is, all I wanted her to do was to trust me because I understood the system better than she does. And so when I'm saying to her, trust me, it's because I know what I know. And that is basically what is going on here. God knows what He knows. And He is working things in His way. And He is saying to me, trust me. And I am saying to Him, I trust you. I am trusting His wisdom. I like what Paul said when he said, we are now seeing through a glass darkly. We can't really fully understand. When I was small, I couldn't grasp certain concepts that my father understood. And the disparity between my wisdom and my father's wisdom is tiny in comparison to the wider disparity between God's wisdom and mine. And so I serve a God who created the universe, who is infinity times wiser than I am. So I am just looking at things from a little perspective, from my minute perspective. There are so many things about life that I do not understand. There are so many things about life that you do not understand. And if you get to the place where you're saying that, I can't understand it, I cannot explain it, therefore it is false, chances are you are placing too much value on your knowledge, on your wisdom, and on your understanding. So I trust God because I believe that He is superior, that His ways, and He tells us in His word, His ways are not my ways. His thoughts are not my thoughts. I love it when Job said, who can by searching find out God? I believe that if I tried to understand everything, my head would explode. Even at a time when we are told that we use just a fraction, a tiny fraction of the capacity of our brains. And I've seen it in action. How many of you seen, what's his name, Steve Harvey? He has a program where he is interviewing little geniuses. A little boy who comes on the show, and Steve would give him some complex maths to solve, and the boy would solve it in no time. And I'm sitting like, what? How does he do it? Just a little boy. I struggled with maths in high school. I am good when it comes on to basic maths. But when it comes on to the scientific things, the logarithms and the matrices, well, matrices is not so bad. You know, but the more complex that mathematics gets is the more difficult it got for me to understand in school. This little boy, able to just reel off the solutions to these huge mathematical problems. We have not yet used half, much less than half of the capacity of our brains. Would you want to tell me that our brains is a creature of accident? And so because I believe in creation, I believe in God. I do not have to understand everything. And as I said, I have not gone through everything. I can tell you far more. I could do a 1 hour sermon, 2 hours explaining all of this, because there's so much more to it that I've pondered, that I've thought about. But when I think about it, I am looking on things from a human perspective, which is really a very, very, very narrow perspective. And so I believe in God. And one last thing, the other thing that makes me such a firm believer in the Lord and in the scriptures, the prophecies of Daniel. How Daniel was able to so accurately predict the rise and fall of major nations centuries before it happened had to be by divine revelation. I believe in God. And so what it comes down to is what Christianity really is. It's a faith. You call it faith-based. It's about putting your trust in someone. And I feel very comfortable. And I don't believe, maybe some believe that, oh, you're just trying to console yourself. No. I have seen too real, which is another thing we could get into, answered prayers. Many stuff baffles me. The starvation of children. But I believe that my God knows exactly what He's doing. And I believe that when we get to heaven, much more will be revealed. And then all of us will be saying, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. I trust Him. You have a right not to believe in God. You have a right not to believe me. But I'm only explaining to you why I believe Him, why I trust Him, and I trust Him completely. Things I do not understand now, but it's not only in the Bible. But the fact that something doesn't make sense to me doesn't mean that it is not true. The fact that something doesn't make sense to me doesn't mean it is not real. And I am inspired by the story of Professor Walter Veith, who is a college professor who once was an atheist himself. But he was floored by a student. And he said that someone, I can't recall if it was a student, I watched this some time ago. But I remember something to the effect that someone asked him, do you know everything? And he said, no. And then he was asked, are you prepared to consider the possibility that among the realm of things that you do not know is God? And he pondered it. He pondered it. The long and short of it is that Professor Walter Veith is today a devout Christian, a firm believer in God. And I join the millions around the world who put their trust in the Creator of the universe. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day.